All right, welcome back. Episode 105, Troy, of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. As always, I'm here with my good friend, Troy. What's going on, Troy? How's your day going?
Day is going well. Just got back from a happy hour for work, but I didn't have too many drinks, so I'm good to go.
There you go. That's good.
Troy
might have been fallen asleep during the last half of the show. That would have been hard for me. But, well, I guess before we get started, we do want to give a little bit of special recognition to a listener of the show, Dynasty Central Sports, who actually, in an amazing gift, sent me what you're seeing on the screen if you're watching on YouTube right now, this custom Kaprizov card, and then got Troy a real cool Pekka Rinne card.
Yeah, I don't have a picture. I can kind of hold mine up if you can see it. So yeah, it's weird because you can see me through it. It's really cool. Like it's all purpley, acetate, clear Pekka Rinne. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, yours is like cracked ice, and I really like the Argyle effect to mine. Anyways, it's such a very sweet gesture. And so thank you very, very much to Dynasty Central Sports. He's a YouTuber. He's trying to build his channel. So as a little point of gratitude, if we could get a bunch of people to go over there and maybe subscribe, watch some of his videos and like them, that would be great. And then speaking of gifts, Troy, a little birdie came to my window today and tweeted at me that it's somebody's birthday.
Yeah.
Who can that be? Well, it's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday, man. Were you not going to tell anyone?
No.
So you're not into making it your day and celebrating your birthday just any other day for you?
I'm going to work. I had a horrible day at work. I got there and we don't have desk. We have like hoteling stations everywhere. You're supposed to reserve them. I get there, all of them are taken, and the one I reserved was taken. So that just started the day off terrible. And then I lost my Power BI installation and they can't find out how to get it back. So it was a fantastic day.
We're gonna have to like remake Grumpy Old Men with you at some point.
No kidding.
I hope you have a better end to your birthday, I guess, than when it started. And just to make Troy squeamish and feel uncomfortable, if anyone that listens, you should probably go wish him a happy belated birthday, whether you're on a Discord or social media, because I'm sure you'll love that. Well, anyways, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. There's Troy. Got to mention Second String Leather Company. There are 29 wallets left in their, I guess, last collection. I don't know if they name their collections, and I just don't know the name, but it's the one that they're doing the clearance event on.
Yep.
I guess be very articulate and say it that way. There's only 29 left, and they're 65% off. If you use the code Gongshow15, you save an additional 15%, so that's 80% off. And I picked out a couple just to show people real quick, just to illustrate how cool these are. So they still have Andrei Vasilevsky wallets left from his pads. You can get a Big Cat wallet. So I believe with the 65% off, it's something like $40 some. But when you use our code, $37 for a wallet that's made from premium leather, that's from the pads of Andrei Vasilevsky. Come on. It's amazing. Or maybe, Troy, are you a fan of Team Canada?
Right? We have a lot of Canadian listeners.
Yeah, well, there's a blocker they call it the Pride of Canada 3-slot wallet, down to $34 if you use the code Gongshow15 on secondstringleather.com. So go there, get one of their wallets. I think you get a great feel for them. Like when their new collection comes out, they keep teasing players left and right.
I know. It's terrible.
And the anticipation is killing me.
Well, didn't they send us a message saying Troy will be happy? And now I'm all in a tizzy because I don't know who it is.
It's crazy. We have the stature checklist coming out. They're teasing you with goalie wallets, Troy. They're going to make your head explode here. So once again, just go to secondstringleather.com. Use code Gongshow15. You'll save 15%, whether or not it's a wallet, a watch band, whatever products they have. They're all amazing. Go ahead and check them out. Want to make a brief mention about our Patreon. Just a reminder, too, that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means that we really rely on support from listeners like yourself, watchers, I guess, like yourself, to help cover show expenses, fund initiatives for us to grow, which we're working on right now, and produce better content, better video, better visuals, better audio, get better sound, all that good stuff is stuff that we're actively working on. Right now, I think there's 2 spots left in our out of 99 support level tier. It's taken a while, but we're getting down to the last 2. So come on, somebody go in and nab those spots.
You nab them and then forces us to make up. We have to have another tier, I guess, or do something else, or just keep this one out there. I don't know. It's Patreon things, weird.
Well, we did add another tier.
We did.
It's our triple gold tier. It's kind of a super supporter tier. So it's probably not going to be for everyone on the graphic. No. There's a little messed up. We'll have to fix. It's $19.95 a month. Basically, we've had a number of people ask us why we don't have a bigger tier, and we were like, "Well, I don't know. Would anyone want to support us at a bigger level?" So we've added one. What we're going to do is kind of extra benefits. So if you do the super supporter, you join, you become a member of our triple gold club, there's going to be a special section on our website where we're going to shout you out. We'll have a link to wherever you want to send people that kind of publicly put to you in that club. And then Troy and I are thinking, like, after 6-month anniversary, we'll make some triple gold club t-shirts or something like that and send them your way. And we're getting some ideas right now from the guys in the Discord too. But yeah, we finally have, I guess, a premium tier, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, we got some other ideas too. We might have to have just a spot on here. Like, if someone wanted to give us $10, can they just do that without monthly subscription? I just thought of that because we had someone once reach out and just say they wanted to give us extra. And I don't know if we don't have a really good way to do this. Believe me, this is all driven by you guys. This is nothing, we get requests. We're like, okay, I guess we'll do that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when we've been asked multiple times to have a bigger tier. So we are happy, I guess, to oblige people there. If you want to support us, it's really easy. Just go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the link at the top of the page to become a patron. Or if you want, just go to the Patreon website.com. Patreon is Patreon.com. And there you can search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or whatever podcast app, in the show description, or in our Instagram and TikTok profiles. There's a link in our link tree there as well. We do have one new supporter, Rimpstar. Love that name. Thank you very much for supporting our show. And yeah, let's get on with the game plan, Troy.
All right, on today's show, we begin with the greatest NHL player to wear number 5. Then we have our final Gong Show 25 list, where we will be revealing our top 5. Very exciting. Then it's off to hobby news, followed by a look at some of our favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly auction. We end the show with new product releases. Okay, Josh, we are on the greatest NHL player to wear number 5, as we are on episode 105. And that player is, per the Hockey Writer's greatest NHL player to wear each number article, is Nicklas Lidstrom.
Very fitting.
Very fitting. Very well deserved. We got a lot of, actually, we don't. I tried to shorten it a little bit because we were getting like 18, 20 minutes on this. I tried to shorten it. All right. He's a defenseman from, here we go, Kralbo, Avesta, Sweden. And I was really confused looking him up because I think Hockey Reference had it maybe as Avesta, and Wikipedia might have had it as Kralbo. So then I had to go dig in what that meant. And I guess Kralbo is part of the town. Avesta is the town. And then obviously Sweden's the country. I'm sure some Swedish listener will tell me I'm way off or that. That's right. But I was so confused, but I think I kind of got it figured out.
We do have quite a few listeners in Sweden, actually. So maybe someone will give us some info there. If it's kind of like the city, state, country thing here, if it's part of town, and then country in Sweden.
Exactly. All right. Lidstrom was the 53rd overall selection in the 1989 NHL entry draft by the Detroit Red Wings. Josh, did they get a steal in the 3rd round, 53rd overall? I think they did.
I'd say, yeah.
I'd say yes, too. One thing, I played baseball with a guy called Lindstrom, Lind, and I have to do my best not to say it. If I do say that, I apologize already. I know it's Lidstrom. Just my head's ingrained with my buddy that I played baseball with. All right, Lidstrom played in 1,564 regular season games over a 20-season NHL career. It was crazy because I used kind of the same format, and when I had Bobby Orr, it was like 600 or some games whenever he played. I can't remember, but just typing in Lidstrom's, I was like, wow, that just puts both of their careers in perspective. Lidstrom played his entire career with the Detroit Red Wings. All 20 years played with Detroit. For awards and accomplishments, we have a bunch. Hall of Famer, 4-time Cup winner, 91, 92 All-Rookie Team, 7-time Norris Trophy winner, 1-time Conn Smythe Trophy winner, 10-time NHL First All-Star Team selection, 2-time NHL Second All-Star Team selection, 12-time NHL All-Star Game selection, named to the NHL's 100 Greatest Players list, named number 8 in The Athletic's top 100 players in the NHL post-expansion era. His number 5 is retired by the Detroit Red Wings. And Josh's favorite, he is a triple Gold Club member. If you remember that graphic from last week or last show, he was on there.
Wait a minute, he signed up for our Patreon already?
Yeah, he's a super supporter.
Wow. Thanks,
Thank
Nicholas.
you. Thanks.
That's really cool of you.
Yeah, would you like a shout out? We're giving you a shout out right now. We're doing a whole segment on you.
Do a whole segment on you. 7-time Norris winner. Now, if my memory serves correct.
Yep.
Or was an 8-time.
Yep. Or was 8, and I thought Doug Harvey might have been 8 too. If I don't ask me to remember.
So that puts Lidstrom in the top 3.
For sure, I believe so.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Lidstrom made the playoffs in every one of his 20 NHL seasons, compiling 54 goals, 129 assists for 183 points in 263 playoff games played. Not including the lockout-shortened 94-95 season, Lidstrom scored 30 or more points in every single season he played. Over his 20 seasons, he averaged 57 points a season.
They call that consistent in the business.
Yeah, they do. And I wanted to bring that up because it's like right now we have all the hype. It's all these people scoring. Erik Karlsson's going off, breaking records, scored a ton of points. Makar scored a ton of points, 2 years ago? And just want to give a little. Lidstrom was not that guy that's going to score 100 points. He was a very all-around player, which we'll get to. Best season of his career from a point standpoint was this 05-06 season where Lidstrom had 16 goals, 64 assists for 80 points in 80 games played. All right, so that's this little stat line. Lidstrom is one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game. He was not a points juggernaut, like I kind of mentioned, but was an all-around solid defenseman who played a more stay-at-home game. However, that doesn't mean he was a stay-at-home D all the time. He definitely would rush the puck when the opportunity presented itself. He was just smooth with the puck, a terrific decision maker. He also was a fixture on the power play and the penalty kill. Lidstrom, actually, when I say fixture, he was on the ice. He averaged nearly 27 minutes per game on ice, and they only started tracking average time on ice, I think, like 6 seasons into his career is when they started. So there's some missing, which I don't know what he would have done, hurt him, help him, but 27 minutes on ice per game is pretty good. And he actually mentions that where he, as he got older, actually was more cognizant of how much time he played and did a little bit better job of not extending himself all the time and getting really tired and having to miss a shift or anything. If you talk to anyone about Lidstrom or read interviews, it's nothing but accolades from everyone. Hall of Famers, coaches, scouts, they all absolutely adored him. He's currently the vice president of hockey operations for the Detroit Red Wings. And one funny story, I didn't put this in the facts, but I was just remembering this. When the Red Wings identified him in Sweden, there wasn't a lot of teams recruiting in Sweden. If they did, they might have had one scout, but they had to purposely not go over there a lot so they wouldn't tip off other teams that they were watching him. And that's the stuff I love. Like, it's almost like a little espionage game because they were really interested in him, but they had to not go over there all the time or else other teams would pick up and try to figure out why are the Red Wings always going to this one team's game, and then they'd kind of figure it out.
Did they send Stevie Y over with the mustache to check him out or what?
Hat and a trench coat. No, it's pretty good. It's a pretty funny story. All right, let's get to fun, interesting fact. His nickname was the Perfect Human, given to him by Chris Draper and Chris Osgood. Here's a quote from Draper on the nickname. So this is what he says. I remember watching Lidstrom. His skates were perfectly laced. There was never a twist or a turn on the skate. The laces were perfect. The way he taped his shin pads, perfect. If we were at home using red tape on white socks, it was perfectly covered up. Vice versa with the red socks and the white tape. And the way he taped his stick and how his stall looked. And the last thing that probably finalized it for me was the most guys would just grab their jerseys off the hanger. Nick would actually sit there in his stall and folded it basically in 3 spots. He would fold his jersey in 3 spots before he put it on. And that's when I said to Ozzy, Chris Osgood, it's just perfect. I read that, and I don't know if you were a wrestling fan in like the 80s, but when Mr. Perfect was around, there was this one like shoot they did where Mr. Perfect's just like, everything I do is perfect. And he's like shooting hoops, and then he'll turn to the camera and be like, perfect. And he did a bunch of stuff. This just reminded me of that so much. He's really
from Minnesota, right? Kurt Hennig?
Oh, yeah. Boy, you name any old wrestler, and there's about a 60% chance they're from here. Gagne, Hennings, a bunch of them. All right. Besides that, the nickname kind of grew out of the fact that he was always prepared for games, practices, and always played at a high level. There were no off nights for him. In addition, he was known for carrying himself with class, and opponents couldn't really hate him, as a lot of them have stated in interviews. As much as they wanted to hate him, they really couldn't. He was just such a nice guy. Lidstrom did not win his first Norris Trophy until his age 30 NHL season. He would go on to win 7 Norris Trophies.
That's incredible.
Crazy. Yeah,
I think Bobby Orr's career was over by the time he won his first Norris Trophy, or almost over, right? He retired at 31.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. One thing I was reading though is that I think it was Scotty Bowman was saying just how this just proved he thinks Lidstrom was so underappreciated when he started that people just didn't pick up on him until later in his career. Lidstrom was never a finalist for the Hart Trophy during his career. The highest he ever finished was 4th. I just thought that was interesting because he was such a stalwart. And for our last fun/interesting facts, Lidstrom was the first European-born and trained captain of a Stanley Cup winning team, as well as the first European player named playoff MVP. Lidstrom is also the all-time leader in games played with a single NHL team by a European-born player. Interesting.
Yeah, impressive.
Yep. I some of those times you can get like, well, he's the first Czech player born by the river or whatever rivers are in Czechoslovakia. I want to say Danube, but I don't know if I'm right there. I think that's off.
First European player to score at 14:37 in the second period in a game 2 on the road.
Yeah, like there's some of those unofficial NHL records that are kind of crazy like that. All right, let's look at his rookie card. So the one I did was the 1991-92 Upper Deck number 26. Chose this one because it had the highest amount graded at PSA total by over like 1,000 to the second one. PSA 10 pop of this card is 901 with a gem rate of 50%. This card goes anywhere from a whopping 30 to 50 US dollars, Josh. Get them while they're hot, I guess. Now, this is interesting because I remember going through my cards once. I'm like, this guy has a Young Guns. I know he has a Young Guns. Here it is. Don't mind the picture. It's kind of crappy, but if you're watching the video. But yes, he does have a Young Guns in that same set. It's number 587 in the 91-92 Upper Deck set. PSA 10 pop is 538 with a gem rate of 63%. And the last few sales are around $60 to $100 in Terra Peak. That Young Guns design is just fantastic.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
It's just
very like cartoony almost. And
yeah. Well, is that the puck he shot? I don't know. Maybe it went this way. It's kind of funny.
Well, I was thinking that, but his stick angle is
it's definitely not. It stick's going the total other way. All right, that's what we got. Nicholas Lidstrom. I think his name's spelled wrong too. Yeah, that's spelled wrong. So that's another thing when you look up his stuff. Sometimes people list it as N-I-K, but I think his name is actually spelled N-I-C-K. Let's look at this other one. Did it?
Very controversial.
This one's spelled wrong too, if I remember right. Uncorrected error cards, Josh.
Error card. Triple value. All right. Good job, Troy. Nicholas Lidstrom. Well, it's time for a big top 5 reveal in the Gong Show 25. For the last 2.5 weeks now, we've been counting down our Gong Show 25 rankings of the current top 25 players in the hockey hobby. So to this point, we've counted down, Troy, numbers 25 through 6. Here they are up on the screen. I'm not going to read 20 names because that would be ridiculous. And of course, the Gong Show 25 is our ranking of the current. And when I say current, I mean as of today, our 25 best players in the hockey hobby. We know there's lots of factors besides how good of a hockey player you are that determine your hobby chase, hype, and standing. So things like the market they play in, their personality, the team, whether the team has had success, are they cool? They got that kind of it factor, are all sort of intangible and intangible factors that make players hobby stars or not. This has been our attempt to distill everything down and come up with our 25 top players. And remember, too, that, of course, they'll say again, it's a current list. It's not an all-time list. And with that said,
hold on. I'm going to say one thing before we get into this. So you won't read off all these names, but when we did the rookie deep dives, you would scream off 20 names just so you could get to JJP and yell him as loud as possible.
JJP.
So no one on here gets you like JJP. All right, I see how it is.
No,
right.
I don't think so. Okay. Well, Troy, we are about to start with number 5, but first we have to, I guess, acknowledge maybe the elephant in the room here. Well, just a blink of an eye for everyone else in listening world, and particularly watching on YouTube. You can see I have a new background. It's not been a blink of it's been a complete and total fiasco. So just want to address the fact that just about to get into our number 5 in our rankings of Gongshow 25 when my internet completely died at my house. And when I mean died, like died dead. I'm going to have to go to the internet company and get, I think, a new router tomorrow. And so good thing for me and us that my in-laws live about a mile away, and I packed up all my computer stuff, headed down here, and about an hour and a half later, here we are ready to roll. So with that being said, well, and I should say too, so new background in here, the shelves here, the teddy bears are not mine, but I did find something, Troy, that I do have to show you. Oh, reach it here.
Oh, bobblehead.
Sound like a little Ken Trebek bobblehead. Huh?
There you go. There you go. Best Twins player ever. Come on.
There we go. Okay. So now, on to our top 5. Coming in at number 5 in the Gongshow 25 is no other than Austin Matthews, Troy, who hails from San Ramon, California, although he did move to Scottsdale as an infant. He was the first overall pick in the 2016 NHL entry draft and is a forward for Troy's favorite Canadian team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Matthews, pretty big dude, 6'3", 205 pounds, and still only 25 years old. Do you happen to know his middle name?
I don't know his middle name.
His middle name is Taylor, which, so what? But that makes his initials ATM.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think that's why the ladies like him, huh?
That and the mustache.
Yeah, the mustache became like that. Prior to the draft, the young Matthews spent a season, Troy, in the Swiss National League, playing for the ZSC Lions, where he scored 24 goals, added 22 assists for 46 points in 36 games played. Not too bad. Well, then AM34 went straight to the Leafs after being selected first overall in 2016 and didn't waste any time bursting onto the NHL scene. His rookie year, he scored 40 goals, added 29 assists for 69 points in 82 games played. He was that season's recipient of the Calder Trophy as the NHL's best rookie. And so far in 7 NHL seasons, Matthews has put up 299 goals, 243 assists, 542 points, and 481 games played. Troy, that's 0.62 goals per game and 1.13 points per game. Matthews has scored 40 or more goals in 5 of his NHL seasons, including the past 4 seasons in a row. While only making it to the second round of the playoffs once, which was this year, Matthews has accumulated some hardware. He's a 2 times Rocket Richard Trophy winner, 4-time Hart Memorial Trophy winner, Ted Lindsay Trophy winner. So a lot of accomplishments. What I remember too, how do you forget?
1 time, right? 1 time Hart.
1 time.
Not 4.
1 time Hart, yeah.
I was like, man, I missed that if that was the case.
Sorry. Kind of all out of sorts since our
since your house internet crashed, router died, doesn't even turn on anymore.
What I'll never forget too about him is he had 4 goals his first game in the NHL.
That it was, yeah. I remember something crazy.
It's crazy like that. Matthews is a 2016 Young Guns, and his PSA 10 popped 3,068, has a 71% gem rate. Troy last sold for $681 US on July 28th, down about 16% in the past month.
Ooh.
So why do we rank Austin Matthews at number 5? Well, the hobby loves its goal scorers, and over the past 5 seasons, Matthews only trails Leon Draisaitl for most goals in the NHL over that span. He's got a cool factor and style to his game that I think attracts fans of all ages, and his popularity reaches far outside of Toronto. Being born in the U.S. helps, right? So he has both the U.S. and Canada appeal there. Playing in arguably the best NHL market and for one of the most legendary teams keeps his profile high and in the minds of collectors. He had the hype right out of the gate, amplified, here's where I put, by his legendary first game with the Maple Leafs where he did score 4 goals. So why did we not rank him higher than number 5? Well, I think lack of postseason success has kept him on the periphery of the hobby elite. He's there for sure, but sitting closest to the exit, if that's a good way to put it, right? A lot of this has been like McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin, and Matthews. There's a lot of, I don't know, just where I feel kind of his name falls into place there. I think he either needs to put up all-time numbers or win some cups to move into the top 3 spots, right? Because you're getting into very elite territory now. I think he also needs a moment in winning where he puts the team on his back and it's unquestionable who took over and got it done. Like have that legendary moment, that hero moment, whether it's for, I guess, Montreal or Toronto fans, hope it's for them. And you'll see in a minute who we ranked number 4. And we didn't put Matthews ahead of him because it's not close to who sold more cards in quantity or value over the past 6-7 months.
Yep.
I think, too, you could also add that Matthews was banged up a little bit last season, and it hurt his production.
Yep.
Casting a small shadow, I think, is the nicest way to put it, over his hobby momentum. He did take a step backwards. Now, you're in elite territory when a bad, quote-unquote, bad season is 40 goals.
Yep.
But what was he, 62 the year before, something like that?
60.
60. So notable hobby stats to date per card ladder sales history: 1,338 Matthews cards have sold for more than $1,000 US, and 3,097 cards have sold for more than $500 US. The top selling Austin Matthews cards to date is this 2016-17 the Cup Gold RPA at a 12, BGS 9.59 that sold for $55,200 US in April 2022. So that right there is the highest selling Matthews card to date. Any thoughts on Matthews at number 5?
First of all, this card, he looks deranged, but it's a 9.5, so that's pretty sweet. Yeah, Matthews, I know the knock on him too is kind of, I don't know, he needs to show, I know he cares, but he needs to show more emotion. And sometimes not showing emotion is a good thing. But I think when he was kind of getting that one, I can't remember when it was, when he's kind of getting beat up and he's sort of laughing and getting beat up some more. Some people want to see him like turn around and throw a haymaker. But like you said, he's been elite, but a down year, obviously at 40 goals, which is crazy that we're going to talk about him having a down year at 40. But you're right. He does need to do something, either put up all-time numbers or start winning some in the playoffs. You just can't make it to the second round.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Trey, we're at number 4. Now buckle up, because this is where the haters could come out. This is where it gets a little bit controversial on the Gong Show 25.
And so our list, too, is in the hockey hobby, not NHL hobby. Remember that. So now
I think you just got to look before you can judge us any way you want, but just before you do, just hear us out, I guess is what I'll say.
So
coming in at number 4 is Troy's a kid who's 18 years old, has never played an NHL game.
Yep.
He hasn't even played a preseason game. Yes, Connor Bedard is our number 4 ranked player of the top 25 current top players in the hockey hobby. Now, you might be saying to yourself, what? How's this happening?
Yeah.
Don't worry. We thought all of this too, guys. But when you step back and you think about the past year, and more importantly, you look at the market data, especially the card sales in 2023, I promise you it makes complete sense. Bedard is the 18-year-old, 5'10", 185-pound phenom from North Vancouver, who was the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NHL entry draft about a month ago, right? Or so, by the Chicago Blackhawks.
I feel he grows an inch every time they list a number for him. He's tiny. He's 5'8", 5'9", maybe 5'10" on skates and tiptoes.
He played 2 full seasons as part of another for the Regina Pats in the Western Hockey League, where he scored 134 goals, added 137 assists for 271 points in 134 games played. That is 1 goal per game and 2.02 points per game. Can't get much better pedigree than that, huh?
No, that's pretty good.
Well, or you could look at his international play. Since 2021, he's played 27 games for Team Canada at the U18 or World Junior Championship levels, scoring 30 goals, adding 27 assists for 57 points in 27 games. He's one of only a handful of players to ever be granted to play in the CHL at age 15, called exceptional status, and finished his CHL career as Player of the Year this past season. Come opening night, he should be lacing up skates for the Blackhawks, and we presume he'll start right away. Okay, so why did we rank Connor Bedard at number 4? I got to start off, Troy, just by saying that few prospects and draft picks have ever generated this much attention and hype. We're talking McDavid and Crosby levels here that are once in a generation, and no player has ever had the hobby impact Bedard has had with his pre-NHL cards. We'll get to the numbers in a minute, but they're staggering. While he'll have enormous pressure and expectation, he seems to have the personality, dedication, and drive to excel despite these pressures. I think he's witty, engaging, and in a top U.S. market, giving the NHL every opportunity to screw it up and not promote this kid like crazy.
Which they will roundly do is just go ahead and screw it all up before he even gets out there.
To create new fans for the sport, which should also help drive and hype and chase in his collecting market. It's tough to compare Bedard, I think, a little bit to McDavid and Crosby because the eras are so different. The social media is so much more evolved than it was. So I don't know. We weren't super engaged in the hobby when McDavid was a rookie in 2015. I know there was a lot of hype.
Yep. Some people said more. Some said more.
Yeah, maybe more. But okay, why we didn't rank him higher? Well, at the start, he hasn't done anything at the NHL level, and by anything, we mean he's done nothing. And expectations are so high that it'll take a special personality and effort to live up to them. The 3 guys ahead of Bedard are legendary and either have or are flirting with GOAT status. So you're comparing a guy who's done nothing to guys who have seemingly almost done everything. And I think it did take a lot for us to rank him this high, and there's no way we're putting a kid who's never played a game ahead of the next 3. And I think you'll get it when we get to those.
Well, again, it's hockey hobby. We're not saying Bedard's better than everyone on this list as a player. He's got to prove that. But as a hockey hobby person or card or player, whatever, this is where he's at right now.
Yeah, he might stink as a player. We don't know.
Yeah, in our subjective opinion.
Okay, so here's where it gets bonkers when we look at notable hobby stats. And I'm just going to go back to January 1st of this year. So a couple days over 7 months or so. Troy, based on card ladder sales history, 5,925 Bedard cards have sold this year. So that's a lot, but you need some context. Compare that to 4,935 Austin Matthews, 4,523 Jack Hughes. Austin Matthews is a 2016 rookie, Jack Hughes 2019. Think of all the different types of cards they have. There's been more, I guess, Team Canada and Regina Pats sales than any Austin Matthews or Jack Hughes. That just blows my mind.
Yep.
That there's this big of a chase for this kid. Now, I did also look at Cole Caulfield. Now, Cole Caulfield sold 7,369. But again, we're comparing a player with 0 NHL cards to the hottest rookie in the past 2 year last 2 years of hobby classes. To me, it's just bonkers. Again, according to card ladder sales history, there's been this is just this year, 201 sales of $1,000 or more. Again, 0 NHL cards. Our guy Austin Matthews is number 5 on the list. Has 169 cards this year that have sold for $1,000 or more. Amongst active players, only 3 guys are ahead of Bedard have sold more cards for more than $1,000 US. Right, and remember, Bedard is at 201 cards of more than $1,000, and it's not just active guys. Mario Lemieux has sold 105 cards for over $1,000. Patrick Waugh 51, Gordie Howe 87. There's just no precedent.
This is weird. It's
for
weird.
This whatsoever, and I think everybody has a theory what's going to happen to his card values once the Young Guns comes out, and not we're talking now, but you can't say that the chase isn't real.
Yeah.
Or unlike anything we've ever seen. And then there's been 424 cards this year of his that have sold for 500 or more US. The highest selling Connor Bedard card to date is a 2022 Upper Deck Team Canada Juniors Program of Excellence Finite 101 PSA Authentic that sold for an amazing 12,600 US this past April. Anything else you would add about Bedard coming in at number 4?
The conversation around him is crazy. And I think you posted, was it an all-time high sale today for one of his cards?
It was a first sale. It was another Team Canada Finite, not Program of Excellence like this one. I think just like the regular base card 101, that was something like 6,200 maybe.
Yep, that sounds right. But looking in the comments, you see a little wide ranging of opinions. And I think one person said this might be the dumbest purchase ever, or something like that, like how incredibly high it was. So a lot of I don't know, man. These cards with Canada jerseys and everything, it's just, you don't see them going up usually. So it's really interesting that his cards are going for this amount of money, but it is what it is. I think he's going to be a great player, but we'll see. He's definitely going to have to be special to live up to the hype that he's kind of generated already.
But just think of this too. This just hit me in looking at our notes. He has more cards sold for more than $1,000 US this year than Mario Lemieux and Gordie Howe combined.
That's crazy. Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. So that's why we put Connor Bedard at number 4. It'd be interesting to see what you guys have to say about that. Getting back a little more to the safe side here at number 3, we have Sidney Crosby. 35-year-old legendary center for the Pittsburgh Penguins, was the first overall pick in the 2005 NHL entry draft. Crosby was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia on 8/7/87, hence the number 87, as we learned from everybody's favorite goalie coach here, Troy, in episode 87, when we honored Sid the Kid. How many times am I going to say 87 in one?
Yeah.
Jeez. What's sad for us, Troy, though, is based on our age, he's still kind of a kid at 35.
Yeah, still a kid. And just so I don't get yelled at again, he's born in Halifax, but he grew up in Cole Harbor, Nova Scotia. I'm going to get that little plug in there.
Is that controversy? Is that
well, it's not heavy drama. I just said in our thing that he was from, when I did the greatest player to wear 87, I said he's from Halifax. I should have said he was born there and then grew up in Cole Harbor, because
okay. Got to be accurate.
Got to be accurate.
For 18 plus years now, Crosby has established himself as one of the game's greatest players, both in the NHL and in international competition. In 18 NHL seasons, Sid has scored 550 goals, added 952 assists for 1,002 points in 1,190 games played. Troy, that's 0.46 goals per game and 1.26 points per game. Over 18 years.
Total points, 1,000, what was it? 502? Is that what you said? Okay, gotcha.
He's topped 100 points 5 times, including in his rookie season. And Troy, I found this interesting. He joined Joe Juneau as the only rookie to ever score 100 points and not win the Calder Trophy.
Wow, that's a fun fact right there.
More on that later.
Well, I know why he did. I know why Crosby didn't, but I'm curious about how this other guy didn't win.
Well, Joe Juneau had the same rookie year as one Teemu Selanne.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Yep. And I obviously know why Crosby didn't win it.
Crosby is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 2-time Hart and Art Ross Trophy winner, 3-time Ted Lindsay Award winner, 2-time Mark Messier Award winner, 2-time Rocket Richard Trophy winner, 2-time Conn Smythe winner, a partridge and a pear tree. On the international stage, he's a 2-time Olympic champion. Won gold at the World Junior Championships, World Championships, and World Cup of Hockey, which combined with the Stanley Cup puts him in the Triple Gold Club. So maybe him and Lidstrom will join our Patreon.
Yeah, they can pool their money together and maybe support us.
So here's why we ranked Crosby at number 3. He was elite before his first skate hit the NHL ice, and he's been elite ever since. He's not only a producer and leader, but he's a champion. As part of the storied 2005 hobby class, interest in Crosby cards helped to usher in the modern era of hockey cards. I think that's something we haven't talked about much, but just how important that 2005 hobby class as we like to call it, that includes the 2004 rookies and 2005, were really important to shaping that modern era of hockey cards. Would you agree?
Agree, 100%.
He's played his entire career in Pittsburgh, a visible and important NHL franchise, and was mentored into the league by the great Mario Lemieux, which I think only adds to his hobby mystique and legacy. They're combined in a good way. He's also a legend in Canadian hockey, which of course helps in the hobby as well. So he's got, again, another guy with the US-Canada connection. Why do we not rank him higher? Well, there's only 2 spots.
Yep.
So it's pretty tough sledding at this point. And I think the main reason why we didn't put him higher, Troy, it's not as much about Crosby. It's really the current state of his team.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, how relevant are the Penguins at this point? It seems to me like it'll be tough for them just to make the playoffs this year, let alone the Stanley Cup. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. It's going to hurt his relevancy because of that. Crosby's all-time legacy is secure, but as we said, the Gongshow 25 is a current ranking, and I think that's why we put him at number 3. Any other notes on Crosby?
No, fantastic player. Like I said, I've said this before. He's always one of those guys I think is going to kind of fall off and tail off, and I'm wrong. For the last 2 or 3 years, he's always consistent. He's a gamer. He is an all-time great, as much as I don't like to admit to it, because he beat the USA on an overtime goal, and it makes me sad thinking about it all the time. But yeah, fantastic player. Rightly deserved at number 3.
Per card ladder, 1,737 Crosby cards have sold to date for more than $1,000 US. 3,292 have sold for more than $500 US. This card, a 2020-2021 Skybox Metal Universe 97 Retro Gold PMG 101 PSA 8, is the highest publicly selling Crosby card to date, selling for $164,400 US in March of 2022. That's a pretty sweet color match.
It's, as much as I say I don't get PMGs, I don't understand it. This card's gorgeous. I'll tell you, this card is absolutely gorgeous.
It's pretty amazing. Well, Troy, that brings us to number 2. I'm not sure this next guy who comes in number 2 on our first Gongshow 25 list of the current top players in the hobby would have been in this spot a year or 2 ago, even though he's had a long and amazing career. We're talking about, of course, Alex Ovechkin, who takes the 2nd spot in our rankings. He's the salty-haired 37-year-old, I guess soon to be 38-year-old in September, sniper born in Moscow, Russia. Ovi was picked number 1 overall in the 2004 NHL entry draft, but did not play until the 2005-06 season due to the NHL lockout.
Yep.
Where then in 2005-06, as a rookie, he scored 52 goals, added 54 assists for 106 points to lead all rookies in scoring. Ovi won the Calder Trophy for the 2005-06 season as the NHL's top rookie, edging out fellow rookie Sidney Crosby, who again scored 100 points in his rookie campaign and did not win the Calder. Him and Joe Juneau have that distinction. Just like with Crosby, Ovechkin's got 18 seasons now in the NHL completed, and he's put up some pretty epic numbers: 822 goals, 633 assists for 1,485 points in 1,347 games played. That's 0.61 goals per game and 1.07 points per game. Not a lot of assists compared to other guys at the top of the NHL echelon. Much more of a goal scorer.
Got to shoot the puck.
He is a Stanley Cup champion, a 9-time Rocket Richard Trophy winner, 3-time Hart Trophy winner, 3-time Ted Lindsay Pearson Award winner, won a Conn Smythe Trophy. Troy, here's one for you. I put this in there just for you. 2-time EA Sports NHL cover athlete.
Which is kind of, well, I guess with the cover athlete, you don't have to get close up and look at him, because we all know we have heard from marketing people in the past that there's a reason Ovi just wasn't as marketable as he should have been.
Rhymes with Mugly.
I'll rhyme it with that, which kind of is sad, because he's a fantastic player. He's a great personality. He's hilarious. Yeah. I just saw a video today on Instagram. I don't know who posted it. I forgot to look at the name, but it was showing Ovechkin's reaction when I think it was Don Cherry was kind of ripping on him as a rookie because he was so flashy. He'd score, he'd put the stick down, do the fire hands, like it was on fire. And Ovechkin's just like, he's old. You're not supposed to do this, do that. He's grumpy. Yeah. And they're like, are you going to stop? He's like, never. So it was great. I love it.
And Troy, the big one, at 822 goals, he sits 73 goals from hockey immortality and breaking one of the greatest records in all of sports. Why we ranked him at number 2? The hobby, of course, loves goals, and there's a very good chance that Ovi will have the most ever. So I have a question for you, Troy. We're a year into the show. I'm sure we talked about Ovi and the goals record last summer too. At this point, is your confidence level more, less, or the same it was a year ago that Ovi does break Gretzky's goals record?
I'm going to have to go less, since I think it was the last episode when the mailbag question was name someone I think might have an off season, and I said Ovi as an option. So I'm going to have to go with less. I think he's getting up there. I don't know if they keep him on the power play and they can feeding him in his spot over there in Ovi's office. I can see him, but the game's not slowing down and he's not getting younger. I think some of those will catch up, but I do hope he breaks the record. I really do. I think that'd be fantastic. A record that no one ever thought would fall when Gretzky retired. No one thought this was going to happen. So I hope he does, but I guess my confidence to stay true to what I said, I'll say it's less.
You're going to double down on the bit, huh? Love it. Maybe he'll get to the point where, remember when our guy Heater was on the Minnesota Wild, Danny Healy? And he literally just stayed in the offensive zone the entire game, wouldn't even skate back on defense.
He would be around in the neutral zone, kind of just cherry picking.
Like doing some slow circles. Ovi is quirky fun. He eats a ridiculous pregame meal and just goes out and snipes.
Yep.
He's an interesting guy that seems easy to root for. Kind of speaking of that, I love the oddity too of what he's producing at his age, and he's doing it basically the anti-Tom Brady way. Where Brady hasn't had a granular sugar in 16 years. Meanwhile, our guy Ovi, literally, I don't know if I think it was with Dylan Strome or some other interview this year that said that when he is on the bench during the game and guys are getting off the ice, and we'll have I think what the NHL does, BioSteel, but they'll have their water bottle or maybe Gatorade. He crushes cans of Coke on the bench.
I love it. See, I can't now. I'm hating myself for even saying that. I think he'll have a down season because I do want him to break the record. And he's an absolute character and a personality. Another thing I saw. This is kind of tied to this on the healthier side. I think I saw an interview where Bedard's mom said he's never had McDonald's. I thought that was pretty crazy. I mean, good for him. Discipline. Yeah, good for him.
So the last thing I'll say about why I ranked him at number 2 is you can make the comparison to Crosby in that his team is not going to be super relevant and probably won't make the playoffs in 2023-24. At least I think it's going to be tough for them. But the goals chase will be crazy. Yeah. And if he continues to score, especially gets off to a hot start, it'll keep the spotlight very much on him. He'll be super relevant, and the market will. You'll have Bedard mania and Ovi mania at the same time. It could be crazy.
Yeah.
So why did we not rank him higher? Well, there can only be number 1, and we needed a space for Lafreniere.
You're gonna get in trouble. Stop doing that.
Well, it's I don't think we made a Laffy joke in 6 or 7 shows, so that's pretty good, right? Yeah. It did get to. It was getting every show.
Yeah, and we rightly got called out for it, for sure.
Yeah, we got called out. I don't know, maybe the Russia thing holds him back a touch, but I think you can also make the case, Troy, that he the first Russian player to break out of that stereotype and reach superstar. I don't think the Russia thing matters, where we've always said with whether it's Fedorov or Pavel Bure or Gilney, that I don't know.
Yeah, I think if there was the Russian stereotype, I think he's just the way he is. Let me say this. You can find stories about ripping on him for his supposed support of Putin, or he'll be asked by media members about Putin and he won't say anything negative, which I get it. These guys have family back there. The last thing they want to do is put them in our harm's way, which we've seen may happen if you don't say the right things, but he's definitely broken out of it, but I still think there's a little bit, like you said, of that stereotype there.
Does Hasek tweet about him or something?
Oh, Hasek does not like Ovi.
Interesting. Okay, to finish off OV, just want to go through some notable hobby stats. Try an incredible 2,123 cards have sold for more than $1,000 US. 3,275 Ovechkin cards have sold for more than 500 US per card ladder. And the top Alexander Ovechkin sale of all time is this 2005-6, the Cup. RPA at a 99 PSA 10 that sold about a month and a half ago, I guess now, for $182,400 US.
I like that card. I like the string hanging off of it too. I love that.
Yeah.
I like, at least it makes me think it was used.
If you had that card and it was raw, how tempted would you be to pull the string?
I know. Or, well, some people would probably cut it, but I wouldn't. I love that. I think it shows.
Oh, you do? Oh, it drives me crazy.
Oh, it does? No, it's character. I love that. Like your wallet. Do you want me to rub off all the puck marks?
No, don't touch my Vasilevsky wallet. Stop that, Todd. Okay, Troy leaves us now at the number 1 spot. And I don't think it'll be a surprise to many, but of course, we're talking about Leon Draisaitl's sidekick, Connor McDavid. He's just 26 years old, was born in Richmond Hill, Ontario, comes in at 6'1", 195 pounds. McDavid was the first overall pick in the 2015 NHL entry draft. So have you observed something about these top 5?
Oh, I didn't. What did I miss? They're all high
5.
Picks,
all 5 were the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. I didn't. Once you said that, and I started thinking, that makes sense. Hey, sometimes they get it right.
Yeah, sometimes Matthews, Bedard, Crosby, Ovechkin, and McDavid. When we think of the Connor Bedard phenomenon these past couple of years, I think McDavid, of course, is the closest comparison, where we talked about this a little bit ago or a few minutes ago, where maybe the Bedard hype has been stronger, but at times, are different, yada, 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 of course, right?
Yeah.
We just don't know if Bedard will end up being as good of a player as McDavid. And it seems like that'll be a tall order because McDavid is super, super good.
No.
His last season in the OHL before being drafted, McDavid put up 44 goals, 76 assists for 120 points in 47 games played, 0.94 goals per game and 2.55 points per game, which is insane.
What was Bedard's points per game? Was it less than that? I'm looking.
I think his goals per game was higher.
Higher, yep.
Maybe his points per game was a little bit less.
Yep, you got it. I wanted to make a funny joke, or not a funny joke, a dumb joke, that those were very Bedard-like numbers, but that failed miserably.
We're out of retakes on our show tonight. So it's been a catastrophe.
Yeah.
He's been pretty good at the NHL level too, Troy. We're now 8 years into his career. He's amassed 303 goals, 547 assists for 850 points in 569 games played.
Wow.
That's 0.53 goals per game and 1.49 points per game. Here's something crazy to think about. So he had 150, 2 or 6 points last year, whatever it was. If he has another 150-point season in 2023-24, he could hit 1,000 career points and still be 27 years old.
Wow. That's pretty nuts. Going for Gretzky.
McDavid already is a 5-time Art Ross Trophy winner, 4-time Ted Lindsay Award winner, 3-time Hart Trophy winner, 1-time Rocket Richard winner, and hold on, checking a second. No Conn Smythe strike.
Oh, shots fired.
Shots fired. We ranked him at number 1 because since he was drafted, he's literally taken the hobby by storm and has not let go of the reins. McDavid is unquestionably the biggest hobby star for active players and probably the best current NHL player. His card sales in volume and price are only topped by Wayne Gretzky. If he can continue to produce at the level he has and find a way to win some Stanley Cups, I think he could end his career in the all-time Mount Rushmore conversation a few years down the road. Now, we can't do why didn't we rank him higher? Because, well, there's no way to rank him higher. But so I added a little section here of what could limit his hobby upside. I think Troy winning seems to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's tough to be considered a GOAT when you haven't won at all.
Yep.
I don't know of any player in any league that's considered the greatest player that never won. I mean, I don't think so. Let's say Bedard or McDavid, geez, Freudian slip there, keeps playing and plays another 10 years like he already has, and he doesn't win a Stanley Cup. do you think he's forgotten almost largely like a Marcel Dion? Or I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I do think it would hurt his legacy.
It definitely hurts legacy. You know the guy I always think about, and I'm not a football fan, but I always think of like Dan Marino.
Yeah. Well, Dan Marino at
Or
least made the Super
he
Bowl.
made the okay, you're right. He
It's
did.
like
Maybe
second
Charles
season.
Barkley. I mean, I don't know if Charles Barkley made a final. I don't think he
He
ever
did.
won one.
You know, Joe lost to Jordan.
Yeah, because they always
I
rip
get your
on
point.
him on NBA Live or they always make fun of him for not winning one. Yeah, good point.
And then beyond winning, I think there's like the normal injury or body breakdown stuff that can limit any player's longevity. But it does seem like McDavid takes good care of himself. So I would bet, aside from a freak injury, that wouldn't be an issue. And then lastly, Troy, do you think his personality or maybe lack thereof, or just maybe his unwillingness to engage much with the media could limit his legacy at all? Or is he a guy that you think will open up once he retires a little bit?
Oh, I mean, I hope he opens up when he retires. This is the year that I first really thought to myself, man, this guy just doesn't have it personality wise. I've seen a couple interviews and a couple like NHL things where they're trying to kind of market him. He just doesn't come off like having this bubbly personality, which you know what? That's not fair. You can't expect him to fit this mold. But I do think it hurts him right now a little bit. But obviously we've seen he does charity work and he does a lot of stuff. He did a lot of stuff with that, like that little kid that passed away. He does a ton of stuff, but I think his personality though is a little off. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but just maybe isn't as marketable as it could be, or it might be when he gets retired and he can let loose a little more.
All right, quickly looking at his notable hobby stats per card ladder, a jaw-dropping 4,474 McDavid cards have sold for more than $1,000 to date. 7,535 cards have sold for more than 500 US. And the biggest McDavid sale to date is this 2015-16 The Cup RPA at a 99 PSA 10 that sold for a mere 228,000 US in July of 2022. But as we discussed on our last show, there's a certain 101 Shield auto rookie from Ultimate that's going to auction Friday that might beat this, given it's a 101 Shield. Still a really nice card. Just a sick patch too, huh?
Yeah, sick card. I just can't stand again how it says autographed rookie patch, and that's where you had to sign over that. Drives me nuts.
Well, there you go, Troy. It's our first Gong Show 25 list. As we mentioned, we'll probably update this 2 to 3 times per year, and I think maybe just give highlights when we do of the different movers and shakers as we make updates to the list and guys get added or taken off or moved around a little bit. We'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Where do you think we got it right? Where do you think we got it wrong? Message us on social media. Also, I think I'm going to try to publish this list to our website soon at hockeycardsgongshow.com, and then we'll just kind of have it as a reference and we'll date it so that when we make updates, we can have an archive of kind of who's moved where.
When you do the next one, then you're going to have to put like up arrow 2 spots. If someone goes up 2 and down 3 and
now it's getting complicated, but it was fun.
Now we're done.
I think it was fun to do this summer too and just go in depth about and spend a little bit of time on really the top guys that are shaping the hobby right now.
Yeah.
Okay, Troy, got to make a quick mention for Gong Show partner and sponsor Slab Sharks. Want to thank them for their continued support of our show. It's been a lot of fun for us to see them continue to grow over these past few months. Their current weekly auction ends today. Be sure to head to slabsharks.com for a link to the auction and place your bid. If you miss it, no big deal. Their auctions run weekly, and when one ends, the next begins. Like we said, the Slab Sharks eBay auction is quickly becoming one of the premier spots to get great hockey cards. If you are a Canadian hockey card collector and have not used Slab Sharks for the eBay consignment services, then you haven't realized really how easy that they make it to sell your cards on eBay. They basically do all the work. You just send them your cards and go on with your day. Slab Sharks takes amazing photos, lists your cards, answers buyer questions, hunts down payment, ships to the US and Canada, ensuring the largest possible buyer's pool for your cards. So for complete consignment information and to get started, visit slabsharks.com. Okay, we're going to go into hobby news real quick. Got a few items to touch on today. Just I want to wrap up a couple of things at the National real quick. So I saw on their Instagram page, that I think around 100,000 collectors is the number that they're saying
Yeah.
attended this year's event last weekend in Chicago, which is the biggest crowd ever, I believe, for the national. That's got to be a good sign for the hobby at large, huh, Troy?
It is, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous that I think I saw this in Sport Collector Daily or something. They say they don't actually publish official attendance numbers. The Nationals, like, come on. What
Lame.
are you trying to hide? Just publish official numbers. Like, this is awesome.
It's a great marketing tool to
Yeah.
publish that. Yeah, there's really no reason not to. So, whatever. People are weird. Next year's event is in Cleveland, where hopefully they will break another. Have you ever been to Cleveland?
I've not. All I know about Cleveland is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Drew Carey Show. It's about, and well, I guess I almost slipped up. The Guardians and the Browns. I know they're sports teams. That's always fun.
It's a great city, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So
I've heard Cleveland's fantastic. I think it was pretty run, maybe a little industrial in the 70s, but I think they've really turned it around.
Mm-hmm. So we'll look forward to that next year. Moving on, Upper Deck officially signed Connor Bedard to an exclusive auto deal. So sorry, Troy, but you're not going to get your Leaf Bedard autos like I'm sure you're hoping for. Only UD products. Per the article I read again on Sports Card Collectors Daily, I think it is. It looks like Upper Deck will also be the lone producer of Bedard cards, only licensed producer. Okay. The contract amount or price per auto were not disclosed, but I'll assume it's a healthy amount. So if you had to guess, Troy, how much more do you think Bedard will get per signature than the average Joe Schmo rookie? Like three times, five times?
I would get, I don't know. I'll say 5.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, he's got to get paid pretty well. And again, we don't know the numbers, but we've been told by people outside of Upper Deck. This isn't from Upper Deck, that we know hockey players, I think, don't get that much per autograph compared to like basketball, baseball, football. But I think Bedard's definitely going to get a bump. I would love to see the contracts for this. This is the stuff that really fascinates me. This like extra income they get besides their NHL salary on how much they can make and what they get paid for all these other things. I think is just fascinating.
Billy, send us Bedard's auto contract so we can talk about it on the air.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's happening.
Well, never hurts to ask, right? Worst they can do is say no.
Yeah, true.
This story, though, made me realize I have not paid, to this point, much attention. Oh, you got to go back to Bedard auto itself.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And I want your review on his signature.
All right.
Is it a good auto? Do you like it? Give it a letter grade. ABC.
I give it a D. It is terrible. It is a Hodge. I guess my thought is he's probably doing it because he wants to get through it quick. I wish he would do something more legible. I get it though. It's a big C basically, and then to the B and the 1-7. I like that. I like the number. I like having the number on it. But I don't know. I always go with the Harmon Killebrew, right? He said you got to have a nice autograph so kids can read your name. Now I get it.
These guys has a beautiful autograph.
Yep. And again, these guys are signing though thousands of cards. Their hands probably hurt. Especially
has anyone signed more than Wayne Gretzky?
That's true. Good point. Maybe not. But
what's up with the 17? I don't get that.
Oh yeah, maybe that was his.
98.
You know what? This was he number 17 at some point, and they used this is a sticker auto, and when he signed it, it's saying 17, or maybe that's his age. I don't know. But he's obviously 16 in this picture. All right, research. Someone's got to go find it.
Maybe Wayne will teach him how to sign his autograph.
Yeah, true. I'm not a big fan of just the actual signature, how it looks, but hey, he can change it or he doesn't have to. We've seen worse for sure.
Moving on, the GemRate released its July card grading recap. We thought we'd run through it quickly. So PSA Troy graded 498,000 sports cards, which is down 17% from June and 25% year over year. SGC came in at number 2 with 88,000 cards graded, down 3% month over month and up 77% year over year.
That's crazy. I don't know if anything was hampering them back then, but man, it seems like the changes they've made have kind of worked.
Isn't that though the baseball grading special they're doing in
Could
conjunction
be.
with Topps, where they're
Well,
doing
they
like $9 grades with like Topps Chrome or Bowman or something like
Yep,
that?
and they've really done. I think they did away with. Did they do away with the upcharges or maybe the auto? You don't have to pay to get the auto graded. They did some changing with their fees. Listen, I'm the worst person in the world to speak about grading and what they've changed on fee structures because a lot of times I just don't care.
And then Beckett's still trailing in a distant third position with 26,000 cards graded in July, down 31% over June and up 10% year over year. So why do you think PSA is down so much year over year?
I just wonder if it's less cards being submitted. I mean, in the month, everyone was down, but
Then when you look at cards graded by category, there were 25,300 hockey cards graded at PSA in July, down 19% from June. SGC graded 1,400 hockey cards and Beckett about 1,000. So going by the numbers, PSA is clearly the current, it can change,
yep,
grader of choice for hockey cards. No
yep.
question. 25-1 compared to Beckett. There were no hockey athletes in the top 10 players graded or specific hockey cards graded in the top 10 for July.
Finally, Kaprizov didn't make it.
No.
Kaprizov didn't make a surprise run back up to the top 10.
It's time for our weekly Troy PWCC hockey preview. PWCC, of course, is a Gong Show partner and sponsor. My many thanks to them for their support of our show. The current PWCC weekly auction is live and ends this Sunday. Jeremy Lee and I will be back at it on Jeremy's YouTube channel, Sports Card Live, this Sunday night, starting at 8:30 Central Time, taking you through all the auction closes for the key hockey cards in this week's auction, plus chatting with you and answering your questions in the chat there on YouTube. Like you always do, Troy and I picked out our favorite cards from this week's PWCC Weekly to highlight, and I actually really enjoyed this week and felt like I learned a lot, so I can't wait to talk about them. We have 3 vintage and 3 modern cards, so we're going to start with the oldies first. The first one is a 1981 OPC hockey sticker of Wayne Gretzky, number 252, PSA 10, Pop 2, with 83 graded, so that's a 2.4% gem rate. Now, in the 1981 OPC hockey sticker set tray, there's only 45 PSA 10s.
Wow.
Total out of 718 stickers graded. That's a overall gem rate of 6.3%. I reached out to our guy, Coach Co, and showed him the sticker because he's a huge sticker collector. I think that's where he started in his collecting, mainly soccer, I believe. And what he told me is that these are almost impossible to gem. So this seems like a really nice item in the auction. I mentioned right at the gate here that it's card number 252, and that's important because there are 2 other stickers for Gretzky in this set, numbers 209 and 264. 209 is more of an action shot, and 264 is another portrait. Okay. Kind of like looking at Gretzky from a different angle. Troy, I think this is kind of a cool item if you're a Gretzky collector. We talk all the time about how legendary players really only got 1 or 2 cards a year. So there's not a lot of variety in collecting their player. Think how many cards any guy, Connor McDavid, will have this year. Just hundreds, right? And so what, there's maybe their base card from their OPC or Tops, and then maybe like a league leaders or something like that. But just not a lot of variety. And so this is, I think, an interesting item to maybe complement your player run collection. I also think too, because there's such a strong heritage of stickers in soccer, that I would assume this item would be interesting to a lot of people. So whether you are at a hobby meetup or you take it to a card show, if you ever wanted to sell it, I think that if you brought it out, people would get big eyes right away and want to learn more about it and definitely want to check it out. And then many of us 80s kids and sports fans remember having these sticker books. I think you said in an earlier episode that you, for a while, were a hockey sticker collector. Is that the case?
Yeah. I got tons of these when I was a kid in the 80s. I mean, there's probably 4 years, 5 years where I have the books. And I remember, obviously, I remember going buying hockey cards, but I probably bought more stickers with my money because I think they were cheaper. So I would go buy the stickers and then rip them open. But yeah, I loved collecting stickers.
Very cool. I always want to say card, but very cool
Yeah.
sticker. Last sale of a 1981 OPG Gretzky number 252 sticker was PSA 10 was $1,000 this past April from the PWCC vault. It's also the all-time high for this sticker and all-time high for any 3 of the Gretzky stickers in the 1981 OPG set. You got the current bid?
$70.
Oh boy, I'd have to go put a bid on that. All right, you got the next one, Troy.
I do. In honor of our greatest player, I found this was actually there was not a ton of vintage in this week's weekly auction, but that's okay because obviously you can't have all vintage all the time. And we almost had a catastrophe again where I only wrote one sentence about a card until I was like, something like a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, oh, I should look what Josh did for his second. Yep. I started doing that one. And the next one, I started on it, but it was only a sentence before I realized I was going to do a duplicate again like I did the one episode. So this card I chose then is the 1991 Pro Set Platinum Nicholas Lidstrom rookie, number 253, PSA 10 Gem Mint. All right. I'm not going to go over a list of bio. We already did that. If you want to listen to his bio, if you just skipped right to this segment, go to the greatest player to wear number 5. You'll hear all about him and his fantastic career. So this card being a 91 Pro Set Platinum, it was a higher end Pro Set release. And from everything I researched, I believe this was the only year this was released. I think it was a one and done. If not, I would love someone to reach out and show me some other ones or let me know if I'm incorrect on there. It came out
high end Pro Set. Is that
is that an
oxymoron?
Yeah. High end. I will say this. I'll get into it. I'll say it again, but the photos are fantastic on these.
Oh yeah,
these look great.
We did it. Was it Dominic Hasek? Because I remember the Roman coin medallion logo thing that looks weird.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. So this the Pro Set Platinum came out in 2 series, Series 1 and Series 2. Each series had 150 cards for a base set of 300 cards. I believe there were also 20 insert cards called Platinum Collectibles. So that gave it a grand total of 320. Now, what's awesome about this set, where I got really excited, I'm not even talking about this Lidstrom card, the card also had 12 celebrity captain cards in the main set that included the likes of Mr. Rogers, Ralph Macchio, Larry King. That's great. I love that they had those.
That's awesome.
They didn't. Now, I guess during that year, the NHL named celebrity captains for every team, but they didn't do every celebrity captain in the set. They only did like 12.
Who would they name as a celebrity captain today for the Wild?
That's a great question. It would, I don't know.
Isn't it like Josh Duhamel is always because he's like
Josh Duhamel, yeah, because he's actually from like North Dakota or South Dakota.
I know he's not from Minnesota.
Yeah, we had to absorb him for the pro sports teams. But again, I love celebrity cards. So, anyways, the photos in the set, they are really great. When you look at this Lidstrom card, I mean, I love the photo on the front. It's an action shot. He's carrying the puck. He's got his eyes up. It just looks great. The color's great. When you zoom in, edges look really nice. Obviously it's a PSA 10, but again, you want to verify that you think it's also a PSA 10. And also the back of the card, I think it looks really cool. And I'm a big fan. It's one of those things that's kind of, I know it when I see it. It's when the pictures are different. The front and the back picture are different. I like that. I'm not a big fan when they use the same picture, maybe zoomed in or something on the back. Mm-hmm. So this one I really like. It's got a different picture on the back. The card looks absolutely great. Color, headshot, everything. Now, again, this is a Pro Set Platinum card. PSA 10 pop count of this card is 100 with a gem rate of 54%. And now we get sad because it goes anywhere from around 40 to 65 US dollars. So again,
if Jeremy Lee is like one of the hobby's greatest authorities in like a Gretzky rookie, I think you might be like the guy when it comes to if we ever do a masterclass on card backs. I'm not sure we will, but you might be our guy because
I'm all about a different picture on the card back. That's all I need, and I'm happy.
I was trying to think of like a T-shirt like bringing card backs back.
All right, current bid $16 US.
Ooh, big spinner. This next one, Troy, I'm actually really excited for. And is this the one that you
Yep,
were
the one
gonna
I started.
do
I
as
did one
well?
sentence, and then I was like, light bulb. Let's go check this, and I just redid it. So then I looked up. I originally saw the Lidstrom and this one, and I was debating, but then I was thinking, well, the Lidstrom being was at 91. Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of stretching the vintage, but then that's what happened.
Well, it's a 1954 Parker's Ted Lindsay, number 46, PSA 8, pop 25 with one graded higher, which is a PSA 9. First thing to know is it's not Ted Lindsay's rookie card. His rookie was part of the famed 1951 Parker set. I think he actually started playing in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay played in the NHL for 17 seasons, 14 of which were for the Detroit Red Wings and 3 for the Chicago Blackhawks. He was born in 1925 and unfortunately passed a few years ago in 2019. His career choice span from 1944-45 through the 1964-65 season. He did not play, though, in the 1961, 62, and 63 seasons. Lindsay was a left wing and played in 1,068 NHL games where he scored 379 goals, added 472 assists for 851 career points. He is a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. And get this, Troy, this is awesome. He is the first player to lift the Stanley Cup over his head and skated around the arena, starting the tradition that still goes on today.
I love that.
If you've ever wondered why players do that when they win the cup, it all started with Ted Lindsay.
I love that. That's awesome.
He won the Art Ross Trophy in 1950, was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1966, and his number 7 was retired by the Detroit Red Wings in 1991. Now, this is kind of why I wanted to study him. And I'll be honest, we go through players all the time and we list their awards and accomplishments, and it's the Ted Lindsay Award winner.
Yep.
And so when you see the name like that, it's like, oh, how did that award get named after this guy?
Yep.
Well, to advocate for players' rights, Ted Lindsay and the Canadiens' star defenseman Doug Harvey, who we've been talking about a little bit recently, led a small group of players that formed the National Hockey League Players Association. At the time, players weren't paid very well and conditions weren't great, travel. So when he did this, the teams of the league were not super happy about it.
Insert shock face. Like, oh.
During this time, Lindsay was one of the NHL's best players. But so when they formed the NHLPA, as I guess sort of a punishment, the Red Wings stripped him of his captaincy and traded him to the struggling Blackhawks.
Wow,
that's why
it's quite the reaction.
Yeah. Doug Harvey got traded too from the Canadiens to the Rangers because of that. So for his role in creating the original NHLPA in 1995, the Lester B. Pearson Award was renamed the Ted Lindsay Award. Now, the Ted Lindsay Award is given annually to the most outstanding player in the regular season as judged by the members of the NHL Players Association, and is considered a companion to the Hart Memorial Trophy, which is voted on by members of the Professional Hockey Writers Association.
So the Hart is the MVP that we all talk about. Do you think the Ted Lindsay should be the one that actually holds more weight? Do you think the players have a better opinion than the writers?
I think anyone but the writers probably would agree with that.
Yeah,
the writers get very hoity-toity.
Yeah, they do. It'd be a great debate, though. A lot of there are writers that watch a lot of hockey and a lot of games. And again, with all these awards, at times it's a popularity contest. So you never know. I think that'd be a great debate. Which one should actually hold more weight?
The card itself is pretty simple, which I like. It's a full body shot of Lindsay in his Red Wings uniform wearing the captaincy. And there's that kind of weird big red star. That almost looks like the impression is just like a Russian national team sort of set. But I don't know. It's kind of quirky and cool. One thing I really like about this card in particular, too, is a lot of cards at this era will either be almost like bright white, which in a way maybe look like they're less, I don't know, damaged or weathered. But I actually like ones like this one that have a little more of that yellowing, maybe.
Yeah, like the
patina. Just look old. The patina. That's a good way to put it. So what a cool card for a great player, an important figure in the game of hockey. Last sale for 1954 Parkhurst Ted Lindsay number 46 PSA 8 was only $482 US this past February. It was also the all-time high. Got a current bid, Troy?
185 US dollars.
We're going to switch on over to modern now. And the first card we want to talk about is a 2016 Upper Deck Austin Matthews, right? Number 5 in the Gongshow 25. Yeah. Young Guns exclusives out of 100, PSA 8 pop 4. There's 14 graded higher. There's 3 PSA 9s and 11 PSA 10s. Big card in this week's PWCC Weekly for sure. Well, he's big for us as we, again, put Matthews number 5 on our list. I'm not going to rehash his resume because we just spent a lot of time going through it. But I think this card does present a good opportunity, though, to highlight how a young gun collector can protect against really the value threats that a high pop, high gem rate card presents. Now, there's only 100 of these Young Guns exclusive parallels out there. So when you compare this card to his base Young Guns, that again has a pop of 3,068 and a gem rate of 71%, to me, it makes an out of 100 parallel of that Young Guns pretty attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that there's something to the idea that this is a showstopper card because there's so many base Young Gun, and this is a PSA 8, but just think a base Young Gun PSA 10 for Matthews. We see him every day, and I don't know what the right word is, but you get so accustomed to it that you hardly pay attention anymore when they come back. If you're at a trade show and somebody comes to your booth, or you have this card, or you're at a trade night or something like that, and you pull this out of your Zion case or whatever it is, people are gonna, it's a showstopper. People are gonna go, whoa,
yeah,
that is a card, right? And it's, I think that, again, not very scientific, but it's a good way to know, what cards really have scarcity and will always have demand within the hobby. Do you kind of agree with that principle?
Yeah, the more we go along with the show and look at sales and look at data and stuff, it's a great way to protect, like you said, kind of your investment. If you want to go the Young Guns route, maybe look at the exclusive or the high gloss. Plus, I do think I love that gold or whatever that color is on the Young Guns. That looks great. I wish the UD exclusives wasn't so big. I kind of bought it. I don't like that. And do they always do this when it's out of 100, putting 00 and then the number? I thought that was kind of odd, but makes sense. If they're doing the rollers, I think how they punch them in and stuff.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Good question. I couldn't find any prior sales on an Austin Matthews Young Guns UD exclusives out of 100 PSA 8, but the last exclusives of any kind to sell was a BGS 9.5. They went for $5,280 US dollars this past February. All-time high sale is $9,992 US for another BGS 9.5 that sold in November 2022. Got a current bid, Troy?
$1,525 US dollars.
On to the next one.
I think this might be the first time we've talked about this guy. So our Boston fans are going to be happy. So I actually went with this card, 2017 Exquisite Collection, 07 Tribute Charlie McAvoy, rookie card patch auto, out of 25, BGS 8.5 with the 10 auto. Population 101, just 2 graded higher. So you can see the picture on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Now, this card, I believe, was issued in the 2017-18 Upper Deck Ice release. And this card really jumped out at me because I kind of dig the design of it. It's one of those I looked at, and when I stared at it a little bit more, I kind of liked it. What stood out to me is that I kind of like the patch in the middle, the little autograph. At least there's room for the autograph with no words behind it. And even though I'm not a big portrait fan, I think they actually do a good job with showing the portrait on the top left. Now, there's a lot of white space, but usually white space can be good. But, when I was researching this card, what stood out to me is that the slab says it's an 07 tribute. So 07, 08 rookie tribute. But I was looking at the checklist and looking at Beckett's site too, and they call it an 08, 09 tribute. So I would love it if someone either confirms that I'm right or I'm a complete idiot and missed it. Because to me, it seems like that was labeled incorrect, but I might be wrong. But it's something to research if that would bother you looking at this card.
You think this is a controversy that might tear apart the hobby?
I highly doubt it. Okay. Highly doubt it. But again, just something I saw, and maybe I was looking at the wrong thing. But I just wanted to put that out there. And again, like I said, not a fan of portrait shots most of the time, but I think they do a good job with this. 3-color patch. Looks really nice. I do say that.
Stick. Okay, so looking at the picture of our guy Charlie here.
Yeah.
You know how here in Minnesota, they make those like really long, like team photos that have like all like for high school of all the kids in a pose.
Yes.
He totally looks like he's like on like with the colors like on the Burnsville sort of hockey team photo that you would see at a local sub shop or something like that.
Yeah, and the guy's like, okay, now we're doing the tough pose. And that's what he did. That's his tough look. But I said again, like you're talking about autographs, I actually wrote in my notes, this autograph, oof.
Not great.
We gotta work on that. I tried to look at some more recent cards to see if it's worked, and it kind of was a little more legible, but then other times it looks just like this. So work on that. Card itself, it's an 8.5. It looks in really good shape. A top left corner, you can see there's some chipping or some whiting right there. But again, it's an exquisite card. Usually you don't expect these to be 9 or 10s. They're usually some little issues here and there. It's pretty clean besides that little spot. I think if you're a Bruins fan, McAvoy fan, this would be a great card. Serial numbered out of 25. There's only 3 BGS graded copies of this card ever. I could not find any BGS sales with that pop being so low. I did find a raw sale in 2021 for $160. That's about all I could really find. The current bid on this is $52.
He's a guy that all the Boston collectors really like, but I don't think has much awareness outside of the Boston fan base.
Yeah, that, and I mean, I don't think he's scored a lot. If I remember right, he's not. I'm going to look him up while I'm talking because I remember looking that up going, oh, I didn't know that much about him. Yeah, he had 7 goals this year. So, and he's never scored more than 10 goals in a year. So when you're like that, it's kind of hard to get the hobby to rally around you.
All right, the last card we want to feature is a 2016 Upper Deck Braden Point Young Gun PSA 10 Pop 890 with a 61% GemRate. So I'm going to be really honest, Troy. I picked this card because I just want to talk about Braden Point. And it's a good format, I think, for opportunity to do so. And really maybe dig into the Braden Point phenomenon or lack thereof for probably a better way to put it. So for a second, I want you to just forget the name Braden Point. What if I told you there's a 27-year-old forward who's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, just scored 51 goals this past season to go along with 95 points in 82 games played, who's averaged, Troy, 0.44 goals per game, 0.93 points per game over a 7-year NHL career. And then I told you his Young Gun PSA 10 last sold for $68.
Oh, jeez.
It's funny, can be kind of funny and fickle all at the same time.
I mean, the pop isn't that. I mean, it's 980 or what did you said 890? Is it 980 or 890? I can't remember.
980.
Okay, so it's close to 1,000, but still, it's not over 1,000. That's nuts.
What do you think it is? Is it because Point is like 4th or 5th fiddle on a pretty loaded Lightning team, or is it the Florida Bermuda Triangle hobby effect? Something else?
It's all that. I mean, you gotta be extra special, like our boy Kachuk, to bust out of that Bermuda Triangle. And I don't remember ever seeing Braden Point in like a personality standpoint or being highlighted on the NHL Sports Center or anything. But yeah, he's a fantastic player. Just I think it's the triangle. You're on a team that's loaded or has been loaded and stacked. Who knows how they'll go forward? But
I put him in the same camp as Mikko Rantanen. As guys who both had ridiculous seasons last year, but whose hobby markets still can't seem to get off the ground. And maybe it's just they need to be more consistent and put a couple of these seasons back to back before the hobby starts to catch on. I guess the good news, though, is if you're a Braden Point or Lightning fan, well, his stuff is pretty cheap.
Yeah, you gotta hope that hobby doesn't catch on. That's one thing, even though there's no way the hobby will ever, Pekarenas I collect. I mean, I can get patch autos. Sometimes they're really cheap, like $50, $30.
I just said a minute ago, last sale in the 2016 Braden Point Young Gun PSA 10 Pop 980 was $68 on July 27th. All-time high $400 in June 2021. Ooh. You got a current bid?
$41.
Already 2/3 its value at
Yeah.
only $41. Well, today was a big day, Troy, for new product releases. A set I've been really looking forward to. 2021-22 Credentials is out. And I scurried right away this morning, of course, to our LCS and picked up a box to open for our pack opening series videos that we do on social media. And I got to say right off the bat, I'm a really big fan of the base card designs. I don't know why I've been so into base cards lately, but I love the silver foil on a white background.
Yeah.
And there's like a really intricate embossing with it too that really adds an element of class. As far as base cards go, top notch. And I don't think these are cheap base cards that they produced. Like when you hold them in hand, they're really nice. Now we did get in our box a gold foiled base parallel out of 99, which is a cool looking card too. But another reason why I wanted to throw up this base card, as much as I guess appreciate the intricacy of it, I wish the base rookies were a little splashier.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's like they're just printed on white stock.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're definitely right.
Wouldn't you have flopped those if you like from a investment standpoint to get how much you're willing to pay per card? There's no foiling or embossing, anything like that.
Oh, so, you know what? The one thing, this is why I'm so picky. I don't like that I'm like this. Like I like this card. I think it looks great. It flows. This rookie card, this Upper Deck emblem always sticks out to me. Like
you don't like when they use all the colors.
I don't like when it's all the colors. I like when it's like this, when it's somehow
in the background.
merged into the card. And this reminds me, I know MVP. This is how it looks on MVP. It's on other stuff too. It's just, I wish they could put this into the design of the card a little more on the coloring. But I do think the color looks really nice. Your camera took a really nice picture.
And kind of like keeping on with this theme, when I looked at like the common insert, so there's the speed of the game insert that I don't think I took a picture of, but it's a horizontal card. It's got really nice foiling and looks really nice. And then they did their like Star of the Night, which again is just like printed on a plain stock. So it's like you can tell like cards where Upper Deck like invested more money in the cards and cards where they probably just needed something cheap. And I think that like, there were like 4 or so of the night cards in the box we opened. So again, they're just a little plain, but kind of just okay cards. The big draw though with Credentials, of course, are the debut ticket access cards. And to Upper Deck's credit, you get a number of them per box. Yeah, there's the Star of the Night kind of card, but again, just kind of plain paper that it's printed on. And so for these debut ticket access, Troy, it's just going to come down to the luck of the names you pull and how low your parallels are when you get to them. So I think in the box we had 5 debut ticket access cards, and now again, and you went through this pretty detailed when you did a checklist overview. There's 3 essentially years of rookie classes. So that's a 2021, but that's actually not the 2021 design. The 2021s are all foiled. So the top to bottom foil, where 2020 and 2019 have more of that white bottom, like where like the ticket stub design on the card is white.
Gotcha.
So because I was confused at first, like, well, why are some all foil and why do some have some foil on it, but have some? And then it's like, oh yeah, these are all different years. And to Upper Deck's credit, when you flip over the card on the back, they have very plainly near the bottom of the card the set year the card is from. So like our Otto, as an example, was a 2019 rookie, and so it says on the back of the card 2019-20 Credentials, even though it's included in the 2021 set release.
It's just like update cards, right? Stature, I remember Stature had a ton of update cards last release.
And that's what it's really going to come, aside from a couple Easter eggs that, and we've already seen some indications of those. We'll probably learn more as the days progress here a little bit, but it's really going to, your box and how happy you are, whether you just want to collect really nice big cards or you want to try to get an ROI, is going to come down to the names that you pull. Overall though, Troy, I think it's a really fun box. I don't love the $150 price point, but I can live with it.
Yeah.
You know, where we were a little more critical about Ovation at $230. I think I would be more comfortable at like the $130 range for this box, but again, I can respect and live with 150. Was not disappointed at all by the cards and felt the big ones like the debut ticket access definitely lived up to expectations. So we're gonna let a few weeks pass, see, kind of gauge a little bit more what collectors have to say, look at secondary market sales and see the strength of them there, and then we'll come back with our value and collector ratings. We've also already had a few people send us their big hits from credentials
Yeah.
and this release day. And if you do hit any big cards, we'd love to see them. So message us with them on our socials. And then I do want to make very quick mention on new product releases that I know you're very interested in.
I am. I'm very interested.
Upper Deck released today the 2021-22 checklist for Stature, which, well, I've been waiting for credentials. Troy has been an eager beaver waiting for Stature. And what a birthday present to you, Troy, to get the Stature checklist from Upper Deck. It's almost like they did it on purpose.
Yeah, they knew. They knew.
I think it's scheduled to come out August 18th. So that'll be 2 weeks from today. I know you looked at it, and the one report we can probably share is how many Pecorine cards are in there.
I think it was 22 Pecorine cards.
Pretty impressive. On Monday's show, Troy will give one of his expert checklist reviews on Stature, but we just wanted to mention that came out today. Well, we made it. For a while, Troy, I didn't know if the show was going to happen, but we made it through it. And that is our episode for today. If you liked the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, want to support us, chat with us every day on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider joining our Patreon for as little as $5 a month. There's still 2 spots left in our out of 99 support level tier. Link is in the show description, YouTube description. It's on our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com. You can go to the Patreon website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. And it's also in our Instagram and TikTok profiles as well. And the Hockey Cards Gongshow is on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. Have a great rest of the week, and we will chat with you all on Monday.